Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Matt Diazable, doing another Did I Miss Anything album review. And this one is a special one because it's a little bit older. And also, it goes out to my dad. What's up, Dad? Since he suggested that I should check out one of the probably biggest and like founders of like progressive soul and R&B from like the 70s, and that is the man himself, Curtis Mayfield, with his debut album, Curtis. Curtis Mayfield was one of the most prominent funk, R&B, and soul artists from the 1970s, with his prominent hits from Moving On Up to creating one of the most ambitious and memorable soundtracks from the movie Superfly. And he was based out of Chicago, Illinois, and was also, before a solo artist, was the lead singer in a group called The Impressions. And doing my research on this artist and his music and everything, I didn't realize how much of his music, I don't know if it was from my dad or not. Thanks anyway, Dad. If I had known, because he was listening to it throughout most of his life and I was just listening to it in the background. But I know more about Curtis Mayfield than I thought. And I was genuinely surprised by how many songs on this debut that I'm like, oh, I know this song. Oh, I've heard this song before. This sounds really familiar. And I didn't realize the lasting impact that he has had on music since like his like I won't say upbringing, but since he debuted with this album, and just how his music is just ingrained in a lot of pop music. This debut has some really interesting bangers, from like the incredibly successful song Moving On Up to the very insightful We the People Who Are Darker Than Blue, and just the musically like astonishing and phenomenal song Don't Worry. Like, just for being a debut, Curtis, I guess it makes sense that since he was already in a band prior to this with the Impressions, that he had already been able to establish himself musically, and it just blows my mind how great this album is. The amount of talent on this album is just breathtakingly amazing. Like, I'm just so surprised how many talented musicians and artists he was able to get on this debut. But then what really sets this album apart is the production, because they were able to capture some really interesting vibes from the music and his voice. Because I want to say this album feels like it's really lived in. Like, you can feel like it's already been like taking years to shape here, like a warm, like a shoe you've worn for a long time that's already been worn out and it's just suited to you. That's what it feels like. It's like a warm embrace from a warm blanket, and you're inside of like a small, intimate space with your close friends, and it's like a dimly yellow lit room with a nice fireplace and everything, and it just feels so cozy and vibrant and just so comfortable. Like, it's weirdly comfortable how good this album sounds and everything. So I want to play a little clip of the first song and everything to give you a little sense of that cozy feeling and from all the talented musicians.
They're all political like this. Hurry, people running from their worries, while the judge and his juries dictate the law that's partly flawed.
Maybe it was the recording style back then, but just something about it, it feels so like real. I guess that's the way I want to say it. And I think the feeling I'm getting when listening to this album, maybe because it's not as digitally and advanced as modern recording technology, because maybe that old outdated technology was able to capture some imperfections, and not everything was as clear and crisp as it should be. So it gives it that human touch to it. And so I feel like the album is like less polished compared to modern music and everything, but it's just so warm and just so like refreshing compared to like modern music recording, where it's just very, which is really clean. In some genres it kind of works, but something like this funk, R&B, you need that human touch to it. The use of so many instruments on this album is just incredible as well, because they have harps, you have trumpets, you have bongos, you have drums, backing vocals, guitars. You have so many different instruments that are just blended so nicely on this album, and just all just come together surprisingly well, because a lot of these tracks can either range from 3 minutes to like 7 minutes, depending on the certain special edition you're listening to. But it just flows so nicely. I think he had a good eye for using different instruments and not being so confined to conventional things. And so I want to play a clip of We the People That Are Darker Than Blue, and just show you can hear all the different instruments that are being used here in such a really, really unique way. Those transitions into that harp is just unreal. And of course, we have to talk about probably the most prominent and noticeable and just wonderful thing about Curtis's debut, and just Curtis himself, is his vocals. He has some very memorable, catchy, and just great uses of not just his own vocals, but backing vocals to help elevate his style and everything. And you have great vocals from him, and also you have great lyrics from him that are just top notch, that talk about the Black community, racism, love, moving on up in your life, and just things that are so wonderful, sadly at the same time still dealing with these problems, very timeless and relatable. He was able to craft really good music through hardship and pain, and he was able to create some really great joy. And I think that's a great thing in life. Most things born from pain usually end up like becoming more beautiful than the pain that they came from, if you just use it right. And I think Curtis did a great job of showcasing that. And I want to show his vocal capacity with the song Moving On Up. It's just phenomenal how great he sounds. The music sounds. It's no wonder it's a timeless track.
Your folks might understand you by and by. Move on up and keep on wishing. Remember your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing.
Just so nice. Now, the only issue I have with this album, which I don't know if it's a real issue, it just brings up a question that I feel like in this landscape of racism and like political correctness, I don't know how to say precisely, but I still want to bring it up because there's a song Miss Black America, which it's an amazing song. It's wonderful. Like, because African Americans in America were always separated in many ways throughout the history. So it makes sense. That was like, well, you don't want us included in your stuff? Fine, we'll do our own thing. And of course, being half Black myself, I love the celebration of Black culture, love celebration of my Asian side, my Korean side. Celebration is great. But then I'm thinking like, well, people could see like, well, like Black people are celebrating, like, because of Miss Black America, and if white people did the same thing, Miss White America, like, would people get mad at that? And would that create like a weird double standard or something like that? Now, like I said, everything about the song is a very, very positive. It's a great thing, but I'm wondering, I'm at a weird like stopping point. It's like, how should I feel about it? How should I think about it? Because the song's amazing and everything, but I'm just thinking I'm more like, I guess, the political side of things. But that's another day, another dollar. Leave some comments down below so I can get a good feedback on how people feel about that in present day, I guess. But I still don't think it detracts too much from the album at all. It's just my thoughts coming up and making me question and wanting to find the proper answers for something. Regardless of that little flaw, I feel like I discovered for myself, the album is perfect. It's damn near perfect, from the instrumentation, the vocalization, the pacing, the new creative sounds they were making with this debut, and just the overall cultural relevance and lasting power this album has had for years. You put this album up against other albums, you just can't like deny that this is a great album. And like, it's very hard for certain music genres and different bands or solo artists to compare to something so monumental like Curtis Mayfield and his style of funk and soul and R&B. And I would say I'm appreciative that I can make these videos, and so my dad can watch them and we can kind of have conversations and see where his mindset was when he was listening to older music, and now I'm discovering it as I should, especially older Black music that just is very important in my life. And I will definitely for sure say, even though I do know a lot of these songs, I definitely missed out on so much more by not doing a deeper dive into Curtis Mayfield's discography, which I hope to do more so. And with that said, outside of missing out on it, the rating I would give it to phenomenal album. It's great, classic, banger after banger after banger. So I would say it's a solid. It could go up, but right now I'm sticking with it. It could be a 10, but I would say it's a 9.5 out of 10. So let me know what you think down below. Leave some comments, likes, subscribe. Check out this other video I got going on. And until next time, thanks, Dad, for the recommendation. I love you. Hope you see this soon. And to everyone else, see you in the pit. Bye.